Hello guys, welcome. I am Hazi and welcome to Hazi Code Haven. For this particular tutorial, we will go to some aspect of variables. First, we understand what variables are in programming languages, and then we go through some of the naming convention, and finally, we will end our session with some best practices. Okay, good. Let's dive into it. So what are variables? And this is where I need to understand variables as, first of all, variables are the building blocks of any programming language. So whether it is Python, whether it is C, whether it is JavaScript, whether it is Java. So know that variables are the building blocks of these programming languages. So practically speaking, let's say that you have some items and you need where to store. In that case, you need containers or you need some boxes where you can able to store the items that you have. The same now applies to programming languages. You deal with data values, whatever type of data values, whether it is numbers, whether it is words, whether it is list, or any other complex data structures. In coding or in programming, you deal with data values. Now, so that you can able to reuse these data values and manipulate them throughout your code, you need something that can help you store these data values. That is now where variables come in. So you need a named variable that you can assign these data values to so that you can able to reuse them later. So that is what variables are in programming languages. Good. So what have I said? I say that think of them like labeled boxes. Remember the label, that is the name of the variable. So think of them as label boxes where you can keep different things. Those are now the data values that you are dealing with. And remember, in the coming tutorials, we'll go through about the data types. So whether your data type is numbers, words, list, or any other complex data structures, you need something that can able to store for you, and that is variable. Good. Now let's go and see how we can able to create variables in Python. One good thing, unlike some other programming languages like the C, the JavaScript, and Java and the like, in Python, explicit declaration of variable type is not required. That's one good thing. Then how does the assigning variable to a value happen? You simply assign a value to a name, and from there, that variable is automatically created. How does that goes? The assignment look like a name. That's the chosen identifier, the name that you have chosen for your variable, and we'll look at the convention in the next few minutes. Name equals to your data value. Then from there, this variable name is created. What do we mean by that? Let's practically go and see that. Let's say that we have named our variable x and we assign it to a value x is equals to 10. Good. From now here, throughout our code, this variable is created. We have variable x now, which is store this value 10 for us. So if we say another variable, and let's say that my variable is equals to 5. Now we have not declared the type of this variable. There's no explicit declaration here. We just come up with a name for our variable and assign it to a value. From there, this variable is automatically created for us. That is not the case in other programming languages. in C now, first you need to declare the variable. You have to say int x. This is a variable that now store a data value of type integer. And then down below there, you can able to say x is equals to 10. But in Python, this explicit declaration is not required. You can just say x is equals to 10 and the variable x is created for you. So that is what we mean by there's no the explicit declaration of a variable in Python. Good. Now let's go to the naming convention then. How can I name my variable in Python? Are there some convention? Are there some key rules that applies? First of all, naming convention make your code more readable, maintainable, and consistent. Like a common language for programmers. If I code something here, another programmers can able to read and understand my code because of the common convention that I apply. So it make my code more readable, maintainable, and consistent. So what are the key rules? Can I just name my variable anyhow the way I want, or there are something that I need to consider? Yes, there are some key rules that you need to consider as you name your variable. So what are those key rules? One is start your variable name with a letter or underscore. What does that mean? That means variable name cannot begin with any digit numbers or special characters except the underscore which we have already mentioned. So a variable name can only start with a letter or underscore. It will be valid. There's no valid variable name that can start with a digit number or other special characters other than the underscore. That's the first key rule. Good. The second key rule, variable name contain letters, numbers, and underscores only. There's no spaces or other special characters that are allowed in variable name. Remember, we have already said it can only start with a letter underscore. So the name now, the body of the name can only contain letters, numbers, and underscores only. You cannot have spaces in between your variable name, and we're going to see practically in the next few seconds. Third key rule is that variable name are case sensitive. That means if I have a variable name, let's say my variable, all in lowercase, that is different from another variable name with the same name, my variable, but now with M in caps. These two variable names is totally different because variable name are case sensitive. Those are the three key rules that you need to consider as you name your variables. If that is the case, what are some of the common conventions that guide you, the convention that act as a guideline for you as you name your variable? One, start with a letter or underscore. For example, if you say age, that's a valid variable name because it starts with a letter and it only has letters. Or maybe you can say, you can name your variable as underscore student underscore count. That means it is not starting with a digit number or any other special character. And throughout the body of that variable name, we only have underscore and letters. So that's a valid variable name. Good. What are another common convention? If your variable name is a single word, use lowercase. That's a common convention that acts as a guideline for you. If your variable name is a single word, use lowercase. And in case your variable name is multiple words, let's say like first name, last name, those are multiple words because first is a word and name is another word. So if your variable name is multiple words, use camel case or snake case. As you can see here now, first name, we have used a camel case, whereby the second word start with a capital N. Or you can use snake case, whereby you separate both words with underscore. That is snake case. So that's another convention that act as a guideline for you. And then in all programming languages, we have reserved keywords. And in Python also, we have some reserved keywords. So you cannot use those reserved keywords as your variable name. For example, for is a reserved keyword in Python. Same applies to if, same applies to def. So there are so many other reserved keywords in Python, and you are not allowed to use all those reserved keywords as your variable name. Good. Finally, as another common convention, make names, your variable name, descriptive and meaningful. If you name your variable name as total underscore cost, that's descriptive. A reader of your code understand that that name. User input, that's meaningful and descriptive. A reader of your code can easily understand that. Okay, so let's practically see some of the things that we have said here. If this is now my Python code, we have said that I cannot name my variable as 1ab is equals to 10. This is not valid because we say that a variable name can only start with a letter or underscore. So this is not a valid variable name. Good. The same applies to if I can say a and then a dollar sign, b equals to 5. It's not a valid variable name because we say that the variable name contain only letters, underscore, and numbers. But if I say a 1b equals to 10, this is a valid variable name because it only contains letters and numbers. The variable name contains only letters and numbers. That's now this is a valid variable name. Good. A single word, let's say score, our variable name is score, we use lowercase. Score is equals to 50. This is now a valid variable name. If it is multiple word, we can use snake case or camel case. Snake case, I mean last underscore name equals to Hazi. Last underscore name equals to Hazi. This is a valid variable name because our variable name is multiple word and we have used snake case whereby we separated both the words with an underscore. Good. So those are the common convention that you can use as you name your variables. Then finally, to finish our session for today, what are some of the best practices, the tips and best practices that we can follow as a guideline in terms of naming our variable? This is just summary of what we have discussed. One, let's try to use descriptive names. By that I mean choose names that clearly convey the variable purpose. As an example, if I use customer age as my variable name, that is better if I use X as my variable name. So one tips that I can give you, kindly use descriptive names so that a reader of your code can easily understand what you mean. Avoid abbreviation. Use full words for clarity unless the abbreviation is well established. As an example, if I use user underscore ID, that's better if I say USR underscore ID. So unless the abbreviation is well established, for clarity, it is good to avoid abbreviation. Finally, consistency. Stick to a consistent style throughout your code base. If for multiple words you are using the snake case, stick to it because consistency is always good. So those are the tips that I can give you in terms of naming your variable. And I think you are now very familiar with what variables are, some of the key rules and the common convention that guide you as you name your variable, and the best practices. Thank you. Kindly subscribe to this channel and be ready for more tutorials coming on your way. Thanks.